We're gonna call a meeting to order for the Facilities Committee, April 3rd, 2013 at 8:10. And I will turn over to Mr. Davis to update us on the agenda items.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. A couple items to deal with today. The first is on page 2. We have a request from the radio station to put up a microwave tower. The tower is 80 foot tall, 30 foot by 30 foot base. Staff recommendation here is to deny this request based on initial location and make a counter offer with this over in the industrial park.
Okay, so basically they haven't agreed to the new location, is that what you're telling me?
There has been no discussion regarding the new location.
But
The authority, there's a proposal here from Stevens Media Group. The authority wishes to counter-propose based on the unsightliness, I guess, of a 80-foot tower right here on a parcel that we're looking to redevelop.
so another location would be suitable for this tower and would work for this people?
We still need to get an answer to that question, but we believe so. The location of this tower we're proposing would be over behind St. Lawrence Cass, adjacent to Building 1 in the industrial park.
So I take it right now, this is just a bit of information,
This
there's
is
no
it.
action needed.
Information only, no action required.
Now, when they say 80 feet tall, they're gonna have to put in quite a footer there to hold on to that baby. Or is it just a pole type? There's nothing they can put on top of our building here? Like, I mean, I don't know how high our building is, it's gotta be 30 feet high.
Probably 40. Remember Fred, in the early 2000s there, they wanted to put something right off of that chimney up.
They can't do that?
They were going to, and then they just stopped. I didn't know if that had anything to do with this, but at one point they were talking about maybe it was just a microwave over to Black Lake, I don't know. But I know whatever they were looking at then was for the top of the building, and no higher.
I can't speak to that. I know that was one thing they considered, but they put the request together for the standalone tower. So I don't have.
Well, I don't have a problem with having the tower, I'd like to locate it, I think you're right on locating it over there. Behind St. Lawrence Gas would be an ideal place for it over in that area, or somewhere over in that particular area over there, if they can do it. I would imagine if they're shooting from here now to up to Black Lake,
The path used to go from here to Black Lake to Waterman Hill, and it would go from here directly to Waterman Hill when everything is all said and done.
but even if they were to put the tower over here, they'd still have the capabilities of doing that, right? What they're doing now?
I'm not an engineer, Fred. This is something that we need to have them answer. This isn't.
But they can't do what they're doing now because the fire at Black Lake.
Right, so let me ask this question then. Then if they can't locate this tower anywhere else in this area, this is the area it's gotta be, then we're not gonna do it. That's what I'm hearing.
That's one of the things I'm asking, because we've got this parcel slated for eventual redevelopment. It
Mhm,
makes
mhm.
things pretty complex when you've got a tower sitting on there with FCC licenses and everything
Can't
else.
do it.
I mean, that's the fundamental problem, right?
And if we do redevelop this area, we're not gonna be here.
That's correct. We
So.
would be somewhere else.
Okay, good luck in that.
Thank you. The next item is item 1B. This is purchase of a truck with plow from Van Bortle Ford. I'll direct you right over to probably page 6. This is a good place to start. This is for a 2013 Ford F-250 pickup truck with plow. A couple of requirements here. The requirements are that we utilize state contract, and in addition, we're mandated to use MWBE firms where appropriate. Van Bortle Ford fits both bills in that case, and the price is $25,692.27.
Now, I noticed in this you got quotes, or did you get quotes?
There's there's different quotes, Fred, on the state contract, but, we've been going with Ford. If you went with Chevy or Dodge, some don't have the right size, like we need a 3/4 ton, some don't have it, some do. But the WBE, and we had bought a pickup from them 3 years ago, so we were familiar with that. But that, you'd get the requested quotes from the individuals that are on the state contract.
And did you requested quotes from other companies?
No, on the state contract, we don't have to, we just pick off of that list, and then they provide that.
So on page 7, Steve, the 3 that you see there, those are 2 that offer state contract and 1 that's a WBE firm, right?
Right.
Is that what we're looking at there?
Yeah, and the WBE, with the emphasis on that, and the fact that we had, gone with them, the last time, that's where I got the pricing for that.
And the pricing's all the same because of state contract between all 3?
Yeah, and I think it's a couple $100 more than what we paid 3 years ago, and it's basically the same contract, and, it's the same plow, it's almost the same truck, except it's 3 years more.
So they're the only ones that's qualified as a minority? Is that what you're telling me, in the
Yeah,
States?
yeah. No, I don't know about in the state, but as far as, selling this size truck, they are, yeah, these are the,
Do we still have the flex fuel requirement for this type of vehicle? This meets it?
yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't have a problem, everything is here, I mean, everything is, that I can see is, in order, I mean, honestly, the only thing I'd like to make sure that, that, we get prices from different folks, but if it's a requirement that we deal with this minority issue, then there's really,
Our hands are really tied in this instance because we have 2 requirements. Number 1, we deal with state contract. Number 2, that we deal with MWBE firms where appropriate. So
Now-
when we layer the 2 in, you've got 1 choice in this case.
and there's no local dealers or anything around in the North Country here.
Not that are MWBE certified and meet state contract pricing.
So my final question would be, it wouldn't make any difference which company it was, cause it would have the unit price of the state contract, is that right?
No, only, these are the only, they don't have a state contract price for all Ford dealerships, only certain Ford dealerships submit.
No, but say that XYZ was under the state contract. If you got prices from him, it'd be almost the same, wouldn't they?
I can only get for like a Ford pickup, Van Bordel's got our area, our whole state. So for a Ford pickup, Van Bordel's the only one in the whole state that handles, Ford pickups.
Okay. No, sure, okay.
So no other Ford dealer
Yeah,
has done.
it's not like I go
paperwork.
locally and say, give me
Yeah.
a state contract pricing on that, because,
They segment the market in that regard with respect to the state pricing.
Well, I think we should move it to the full board then.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, the next item is item 2A. This is runway 927 rehabilitation and rebid results, over on page 18 of your packet. On March 28th, we had 2 bids. We had one from Bear Paving, one from Green Island. Bear Paving was the low bidder, and it's recommended to go with alternate 3 at 3.278 million. That's on the runway 927 rehabilitation.
Now, let me ask this question. Between the last time we bid this, how much of a difference is there this time?
It is lower this time. Last time we had 1 bidder, and this time we had 2 bidders. I don't have the amount
I
that
thought we had two
that is
bidders
lowest.
on this.
No.
The last time Barrett was high. Barrett was high the last time.
Steve, do you wanna speak to that?
Yeah, that's
My
what I thought.
recollection, we only had one, did we have
Do
two?
you want me to go
Wait,
get the
two.
bid sheet?
I thought there was two.
Last time there was?
Um,
Oh, that's right, there was two, one was disqualified, leaving
Right,
one.
one bidder and.
We had
that's
to go
what-
through that special FAA.
Right, that's where you're getting the
FAA
idea,
process,
yeah,
yes.
because we just, they were
Yes, I think
disqualified.
Yes, if you would please.
But they, Fred's right, that is or you
But
said that
the
this is a
costs
lower
are
price.
less this time around. So Patty will get that information for us.
Well, being that, how much of the scope of the work, was there a big change in the scope of the work here, or was it just rebid? And these are the only two bids we
Well,
received.
There were some slight things on there, we added some fence work, there's the fence has to be moved out by 68, and that's not a lot there, and then I think everything else is basically the same.
To characterize it, 99% of the project is the same as it
Yeah.
was the last time it was bid. There were a few minor modifications, there was one on the fence that you mentioned. There was, one about, keeping the millings for the parking area. Those are the only two things I can think of.
And she's gonna get that. I don't have any problem moving it to the full board, but I just wanna make sure that we're, if there's more discussion should be done on that, so. So you go on the rest of your.
Go on to the other one? Okay. Item 2B is approval of consultant agreement with McFarland Johnson. As you're aware, we have some special projects that we're working on that require some specialized engineering expertise. Over on page 19, just to recap, the authority solicited requests for proposals for consulting for services. You recall there were two firms that were shortlisted at the end of that process, one being CNS Engineers and the other McFarland Johnson. What this document does, this allows us to tell FAA that we'll have CNS continue to provide consulting services for us, and McFarland Johnson will provide some special project services for us.
Now, I talked a little bit about this yesterday, Don, with Wade. Basically, I didn't see money amount in here for what we're gonna pay these people. So Wade indicated to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that this will, if we approve this, then he's gonna sit down and discuss them, how much is, what they're gonna be paid and stuff.
Each contract is on an individual basis, just as it is with CNS. CNS on average has about 15% of the project value. McFarland Johnson, we have not yet negotiated a project agreement. We have some ideas, but in order to do anything at all with McFarland, the first thing we need to do is notify FAA that they're, for lack of a better term, an authorized engineer at the airport. That's what this does. It doesn't have anything to do with money.
But from what I understand, you're already using these people on a similar project here at the airport.
Yes,
And
for some preliminary consulting engineering, yes.
But that has not been approved by the facilities committee, to the best of my knowledge.
That's correct. It has not been approved because it has not needed to be approved. The dollar amount expended has been less than $5,000.
Okay, so let the record show that, and that's why it hasn't come before the facilities committee. So I don't have a problem, moving this forward. What it does, Don, is that we're gonna end up with two engineers now. We're gonna have CNS on board, and you're gonna have this McFarland Johnson on board. Is that my
That's correct.
understanding?
Yes, that's correct.
And,
At larger airports, this is common all the time. You'll have one engineer doing one project, one engineer doing another. This is, it just looks a little bit different to us because we haven't had this need before.
but these are the people that's doing the discussion right now of extending our runway.
I would be happy to address any of those negotiations off camera.
Mhm. I don't have a problem moving it to the full board. This
Yeah, I
is,
think we should move it to the full board.
you know. But I do wanna know what the cost is gonna be, I don't wanna be surprised.
Oh, certainly, anything that, this works no different than any other contract, it has to come before the facilities committee and the board for approval.
To step back on the bids, the Barrett bid was, what, about 400,000 less, and the GIC bid was about 100,000 more than it was last summer.
And that was August,
August
end of
23rd.
August last
So
year.
it's $100,000 more?
Green Island was 100,000 more, Barrett was 400,000 less.
Well, what was the price before?
Price before, had they not been disqualified, was $3,366,000. Now the low bid, different company, is $3,278,000. So the low bid is about 100,000 less.
Just a point of clarification to that, they were not disqualified. At the end of the day, the FAA did not fund the project, that's why it did not go forward in August of
Okay.
last year.
So we'll just move this forward then for approval, okay?
Okay.
Don, you all right with that?
Good with that.
On page 20, the last page of your document there, for item 3A, this is switchgear replacement at the port. We had the bid tabulation on Thursday last week, and you can see that very favorable results there. We're recommending Dow Electric at $8,500 to replace the switchgear. Steve, do you have anything you wanna add to that?
No, Tisdale's had, I haven't worked with Dow Electric in probably 10 years, or, but they do, I've heard pretty good things about them. They haven't done any work for us recently, but Tisdale's worked with them and said that they're qualified. They also are a wholesaler, so that kind of explains the difference in the pricing. They were able to get the cabinet, I guess, because they have their own, everything electric, I guess. They have their own supply house. So that was our big question, was everybody else was kind of in a certain bunch, and they said that they can meet that. I budgeted 35,000 for it, and after the engineers came in and looked at it, there was a lot of unneeded things that I thought had to be replaced that didn't. So we kind of pared everything down, so I just wanted to make you aware that there'll be some savings, but that's partly because I think I thought a lot of things had to be replaced that didn't, so just so to explain that a little bit.
It was a pleasant surprise in terms of the cost estimate.
Quite a bit difference in price there. It seems that SNL and Watson was pretty close, and then all of a sudden you get a $8,500 bid. Sounds like, I don't know this company.
Yeah, they're out of Malone. They've been around for.
They have certified electricians and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. They've got some union electricians. And, yeah, all of them, I believe, except for maybe George Stat.
And we don't have any way of knowing if this company you say is actually a supply company?
Yeah, we do. They have, right, you know where the Walmart in Potsdam is, and you come around the big hill coming toward Potsdam? There's Everything Electric
Oh, yeah.
right there. Well, that's part of Dow Electric. What they do is, what they were able to do, I think they were able to get a wholesale price on that cabinet. That's the big cost factor and all of that. So I think the reason they got the bid was that they were able to purchase that cabinet much cheaper than the others who had to go through a supplier.
Talking almost $5,000.
Yeah, we pushed them on it, and they said they were fine with it.
Tisdale got back to us, everything's in order, and, I don't know, do you have any comments on that Tisdale stuff that came back?
Nope.
I mean, everything was
That was
there.
the main question, although what Fred's asking is the same thing I was asking. It just didn't seem, you know, like, are you sure you can do that? And they reaffirmed it. So they said there was no errors or omissions.
And did our spec out what they had to use and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
and everybody was given the same specs and
Yes.
everything?
Is a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah,
But we got the engineer saying it's okay.
You know, I'm floating here with, I'm looking at all three bids, you know, they're within, you know,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden you get this lowball figure in there, and, you know, this guy, because he's in the business, has got a panel, gets a panel cheaper. It was not a real, I'm thinking it's not a competitive bid. Cause the other contract, the other bidders don't have that luxury. I mean, if that's what you're telling me, is because,
well, that.
I mean, he's a wholesaler, and you know, I guess my question would be is the other bidders, without mentioning any names, would they be buying that panel from this Dollar Electric if they were given the contract?
Can't speak to that.
Neither can I,
I don't know.
but I mean, that's what he said. I'm just going by what we're being told. I'll move it to the full board, but, you know, I look at that bid, so I think we wanna be on top, and now is Tisdale gonna be the inspector on this?
Yeah, and also all the submittals will go through Mike Christie at Tisdale, so that he can reject and require.
So we got the engineer, I guess we have to
That's
depend on.
kind of why I don't have that electrical expertise for
No.
this, so that's why I got Tisdale. But, you know, that, if they're right by my side, in other words, when they submit that panel, they're just gonna give it and and they
Yeah.
can reject it and hold them to that if that's not the case, so.
Stephen, for the board meeting, in between this committee and the board meeting, can you get the, copies of the Tisdale stuff, and we'll slide that in as
Oh, did I
backup
give you?
too?
Oh, I thought I gave you a copy.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I got it,
Okay.
yeah, I'll make some of those,
Like
yeah.
you to make a copy.
Yeah, basically, I asked Mike Christie just to go through and just factually check everybody's bid, and all he does is lay out everything there, and maybe you can pull something out of there that'll make you, it'll help you understand it a little better.
Thank you, then we will just make it part of the record.
Yep.
We'll move it to the full board.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have for the facilities committee at this time.
Motion to, close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.